I'm showing you how to make crave-worthy apple muffins that are moist and fluffy and oozing with delicious apple flavor. My recipe includes 4 apple ingredients, including freshly sliced apples, applesauce, apple cider, and apple cider vinegar. They're made gluten-free with oat and almond flour and are naturally sweetened with applesauce, maple syrup, and coconut sugar. They bake with a gorgeous dome shape and are topped with a simple maple white chocolate glaze. We're going to start by prepping our apples, and you can use any variety that you like. My favorite are the Fuji apples because of their natural sweetness. We're going to use 2 different cut sizes of apples in our muffins. We'll use a really finely diced apple for inside the muffin, but then we want some slightly chunkier bits to go on top of the muffin. So to get the finely diced apple pieces, you can either cut them by hand or you can use a mandolin slicer. And this is my favorite because it has this little adjustable wheel, and then it has this really awesome little dicing blade. But we'll need to core our apple first, and I'm just using this great little coring gadget. So you just poke it down on the top, give it a little wiggle to get it started, push it all the way through, another little wiggle, pull out your core, and you're ready to go. And then on my slicer, I'll just raise the lever, poke the little spikes of the grip into my apple, and off we go. Now it does leave a little chunk on top, but we can definitely put this to use. And then underneath we get these really cute little strips of shredded apple. And then I'm gonna come in with my knife and just cut across to make some really nice little fine dices. And then we want to fill 1 cup of our finely diced apples. And then for our chunkier apple bits that go on top of our muffins, I'll go ahead and just core a second apple, slice it in half, and then I'll just make some more slices both directions so that we have about 1/2 inch little chunks. And then you can snack on your remaining half while you make your recipe. And then we'll set aside about 1/2 cup of our larger apple pieces. Our recipe calls for 2.5 cups of oat flour, but if you have an upright blender or a food processor, then you can easily grind your own. All you need are some old-fashioned or quick oats. So I've just taken some quick oats and then filled my cup to the max fill line, put on my lid, and then I'm just gonna grind this for about 10 to 15 seconds to get an instant flour. And it's that easy, so we'll go ahead and set this aside. To make the muffin batter, we're going to start by adding our wet ingredients, which includes 2 eggs plus 1 egg white, 1/2 cup of unsweetened applesauce, 1/2 cup of maple syrup, 1/4 cup of oil, and light olive oil is my favorite, 2 tablespoons of apple cider, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, and then we're going to take some maple extract and just drop in about 2 drops. So I find it's easiest to just kind of pour a tiny bit into the lid and then drop that right in. And then we'll just whisk these together until well combined. Now we can add our dry ingredients, which includes 2.5 cups of our freshly ground oat flour, 2/3 a cup of almond flour, and then I'm adding 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then we'll just whisk these together until well combined. Oh man, that is smelling amazing. I get the oats and the apple and the maple. I cannot wait. And now we can add our 1 cup of finely diced apples. And it's a little easier if you fold these in with a spatula so the apples don't get stuck in your whisk. Next, we're gonna make a really simple crumble that's gonna go on top of our muffins. And we're gonna start with 2 tablespoons of butter, and you'll want to melt those quickly in your microwave. So after 20 seconds, my butter is nice and soft. Next, I'm going to add 1/3 cup of oat flour, 1/3 cup of coconut sugar, and 1/4 teaspoon salt. And then just mix those together with a fork. And you want that texture to become nice and crumbly. Now that we have our apple butter and our crumble and our apple bits, we're ready to fill our muffin cups. So I'm just using my 1/3 cup batter scoop to make this really easy. And you'll want to fill these cups all the way to the top, letting it kind of mound in the middle. Now that all of our muffin cups are full, we get to be a little bit artistic and add our apple chunks to the top. And I find that it looks really nice to add about 5 of them because odd numbers are better than even numbers. And you're just going to want to poke those in right in the center of the muffin. We definitely eat with our eyes, and this is going to give a gorgeous indication that these are apple muffins and that they are oozing with delicious apples. Now we have all of our apple chunks on top and they look amazing. So we're just gonna take a spoonful of our crumble and just add it to the top of our muffins. And we're just gonna gently with our fingers help spread it in between those apples. And I like to keep it towards the middle of the muffin and not extend it out towards the ends. And then I like to make sure that that crumble is pushed down beside the apples so that they are still poking through. And then if you have any crumble left over, you could save it and put some on your breakfast oatmeal. And then as a finishing touch, I'm taking my container of cinnamon and then I'm just going to do a really light dusting over the top of all the muffins. And this is just going to enhance those classic apple fall flavors that are so amazing. Well, these are ready to go into a 350-degree oven for 26 to 27 minutes or until the sides are just barely starting to turn brown and a toothpick comes out clean. Well, these muffins baked in my oven for 26 minutes and then I've allowed them to cool on my counter for about 10 to 15 and they look absolutely incredible. This gorgeous high dome is not typical of gluten-free recipes, but these are going to be light and fluffy inside. So I'm going to go ahead and just transfer these to my cooling rack. Now you could enjoy these as is, or we can take it to another level with a really simple maple white chocolate glaze on top. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this onto a cookie sheet and then set these aside. To make the maple white chocolate glaze, you're going to start with maple extract, and you'll only need a couple of drops. So I found it works easiest, like with the muffins, to just pour a little bit into the lid here, and then pour that down into my microwave safe bowl. And then I'm going to add half a cup of white chocolate melting wafers, and you could use any white chocolate chips or wafers that you like. Now we're going to heat this in 20-second intervals in the microwave, taking it out in between to stir it until it's nice and melted. And then to make it even smoother, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of coconut oil. Adding the coconut oil just makes it really easy to stir as well as to drizzle on top of your muffins, and then also keeps the drizzle a little bit more flexible after it hardens. And I love that this recipe avoids using any refined or powdered white sugar. Now you could just drizzle your chocolate over your muffins, but I have found it's a little bit neater and easier to use just a simple little snack bag. So I'm just going to take a snack bag, open it up over a little jar, pour in some of the white chocolate, gently push out any excess air, and then seal the bag. And then take a pair of scissors and just cut a little hole in the corner. Then we can very carefully tip our bag and drizzle our chocolate onto our muffin. I'm just going to go back and forth both directions. Oh, that looks so good. And then once your muffins are glazed, you put them into the fridge for about maybe 10 minutes or so for that glaze to harden. And now for the part I have been waiting for all day. That tastes incredible. As soon as I bite in, I get this flavorful burst of the maple and the apple and the cinnamon and the oats just all working together. I love the texture of the finely diced apples that are just really soft and flavorful. And then I love the little bit of crunch that comes in from the crumble on top. And then having those larger apple slices with the maple glaze on top just seals the deal. This is everything you could possibly want in an apple muffin that has half the sugar of a traditional muffin and is made gluten-free. So you're going to feel just as good after you eat this muffin. I love using a little creativity to make allergy-friendly food that does not compromise on flavor or aesthetic. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me in my kitchen today. And if you'd like to see the full recipe, I've included a link in the video description below, and it's on my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel. And if you know someone else who you think would love this recipe, please share the video with them. And I cannot wait to have you hang out with me again in my kitchen next time.